Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela and we are the Castros.
Happy Monday. Nako, feeling ko parang ano.
Ano?
Ang haba nitong weekend. Parang
Bakit?
bahagal ng oras.
Hindi
ko
na
alam.
masyado siksik yung balita. Pero may mga naganap
Hindi.
naman nung ano,
Madaming
diba?
naganap naman pero not as ano. Oh, well, medyo exciting din kasi yung Quadcom hearing.
Oo,
kasi,
no, Friday yun,
ang daming
pahabol.
revelation ni Colonel Garma eh. Oo.
Yes.
Nako. And pag nag-invite sa next hearing yung mga binanggit ni Garma ng mga name, nako, iinit na naman yan. Maglalabasan ng mga popcorn yung mga nanonood. Alam mo man kasi para sa kanila mga
nadadawit.
oo eh. Mga araw daw na may mga Quadcom hearing or Senate hearing, humihina daw ang Netflix eh. Kasi lahat
Nakaabang. Maraming
nakaabang
mga
lahat.
personalities ang
Oo.
nai-involve eh. Si Senator
Correct.
Bato de la Rosa nga na galit
Mainit
diba?
ang- sabi mo-
Gusto daw niyang suntukin si Kerwin Espinosa.
Ito pa yung mukha ni Senator Bote. Anyway, sige,
Okay.
we're serving you news in a countdown.
All that before your second cup of coffee. This is Brunch.
Let's begin our countdown with Lainey. The American pop rock band returned to the Philippines after 2 years and performed at the Philippine Arena over the weekend. Their Filipino fans sang along to their hit songs like Malibu Nights and ILYSB. Filipino singer Maki also joined them on stage to sing Out of My League and OPM hit Dilaw. After their Philippine Arena show, Lainey was scheduled to perform in Cebu yesterday and tonight.
So sad. I wanted to watch that.
Buti naman madaming
Alam ko
nanonood
si
sa Lainey kasi nung eleksyon natalo siya eh.
Sino?
Si Lainey Robredo.
Corny. Kala ko sabi mo, Lainey Misalucha. Pero hindi. Oh, sayang. Pero nag-ano nga sila, di ba? Nung before the concert, nandun pala sila dyan sa may BGC, sa isang fast food
Jollibee.
chain. Oh, ba't mo sinabi?
Ay, sorry. Hindi. Hindi kasi kita naman sa ano naman post eh.
Yeah,
Nandun
pero,
sila. Oh.
pero ayun nga. So,
Kasi lahat ng
susunod
mga-
na lang ulit. This is the second time nandito sila. Hindi ko pa rin sila
Sana naman
napanood.
sila Lainey
But I love them.
Sana mag-ala Olivia Rodrigo na ibagsak nila yung presyo ng ticket.
Namahalan ka ba? Hindi ko nga alam nandito sila eh. Kung
Hindi,
alam ko
nasa
lang eh.
20, 15, 8 per ticket. Medyong mataas eh. Si Olivia, 1.5 lahat.
Susunod talaga, promise, manonood na ako. I love Lainey.
Ikaw lang manonood?
Ha? Kilala mo ba sila?
Hindi
you
ako,
even know
porket
them?
kilala ko, hindi ako kasama.
Gusto sumama. Alright, let's continue with our countdown. Next in our countdown is the PBA. Barangay Ginebra snatched a win against San Miguel in Game 3 of the 2024 PBA Governors Cup Semifinals 99-94. Justin Brownlee took charge for the Gin Kings to take a 2-1 lead in the best-of-7 affair against the Beermen. He put up 30 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 blocks. Inebra's defense limited Beermen's Junmar Fajardo to just 12 points, though he pulled down 14 rebounds. The next game in the series is on Wednesday at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. Wow naman, 30 points si Justin
Oh, yan ang
Brownlee.
sinasabi ko kasi, yan ang sinasabi ko noon eh. I-shut down Junmar, i-shut down ni San Miguel.
Ayun na nga. Pero ito din, tungkol pa rin to sa basketball, ano? Meanwhile, John Amores was slapped with suspension without pay following his involvement in a shooting incident. Now, the suspension covers all his games in the upcoming Commissioner's Cup of the PBA's 49th season. The PBA adds that the Northport guard is required to attend counseling sessions to address his anger and violent tendencies. Amores and his brother were charged with attempted homicide but were released from detention after posting bail.
Certain
Swerte
bata
niya.
to. Alam mo kasi ang
Third chance na niya to, ah.
sabi ng iba kasi ang mali ng PBA dapat hinintay nila yung anong decision ng courts about the case because this is attempted homicide. Eh, may attempt ka sa buhay ng tao in the heat of an argument, 'di ba? You attempted to take somebody's life or to injure someone.
Yeah.
So dapat before you meted out a punishment, let's suspend him indefinitely and then hintayin natin kung anong utos ng korte. Kasi pag yan nahatulan ng guilty, anong gagawin ng PBA?
Pero
Diba?
ngayon suspended siya for this season lang, you know?
For the remainder of the game. So,
At saka alam mo, dapat yun nga, yung pagkausap sa yung mga counseling sessions, pagkausap sa mga psychologists, psychiatrists, ano yun, it's a continuous process. Hindi yan po pwede ng itong panahon lang, tapos okay, mukhang okay na siya, pwede
sometimes
na.
it's a lifetime process.
Yes, oo.
Kasi pwedeng masuppress lahat ng anger mo sa buhay, pero nandun pa rin yun. So it has to be controlled. We want to wish everyone well, but medyo delikado na kung bumunot ka na ng baril. pinutok mo pa yung barel. Buti na lang yung bala hindi tumama sa intended target.
Totoo yan. So, a lot of people nga, yung mga netizens,
Ang taas ang kilay
medyo
nila.
taas yung kilay nila, nagalit sila, bakit daw suspension lang. Pero tingnan natin, no, kung this time around ay magsisisi na ba siya, magbabago na ba siya, yan ang aabangan natin. Pero for the meantime, abangan din natin yung mga iba pang laban dyan sa PBA.
Yes.
Alright, let's continue with our countdown.
Moving over to our top 8. Mother tongue will no longer be required as a medium of instruction in kindergarten to grade 3. Republic Act number 12027 revises the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013, which initially required the use of the mother tongue-based multilingual education program. Under the new law, the medium of instruction will revert to Filipino. The Group Alliance of Concerned Teachers opposes this. It noted that students find it easier to express themselves when using their mother tongue.
Ang solusyon ay hindi po dapat yung pagpapatigil nito, kundi yung pagpapalakas pa nito, no? Yung pagbibigay dapat sa suporta na kinakailangan ng ating education system upang maipatupad dito ng maayos. Dekada-dekada na tayong andun sa paggamit ng banyagang wika sa ating mga eskwelahan. At nakita naman natin, no, hindi ito naging solusyon dun sa pagpapataas ng kalidad ng edukasyon ng bansa.
So instead of reverting to yung dialects of the certain provinces, mga basic subjects have to be taught in Filipino, back to Filipino. Well, I don't know, mixed ako dito, pero sa akin kasi ang national language natin is Filipino, di ba? Tagalog-Filipino. So basically, dapat every single Filipino in this Republic of the Philippines should learn how to speak that. So I would understand na yun ang magiging medium of instruction mo. Pero kung ano man yung dialect mo or regional dialect mo sa area mo, pwedeng may 1 or 2 subjects there just to enforce it. Kasi you live in that area naman.
Yes.
So if you live in that area, alam mo na yan, gamay mo na yan.
Yun nga yung sinasabi nila na first, kasi kinder to grade 3 naman ito, formation, strong foundation.
Strong foundation.
Kasi 'di ba, hindi nga nila naiintindihan pa.
Yeah.
So kung yung native language nila yung gagamitin, baka yun nga makapag-develop ng strong foundation, then tsaka sila makapag-transition into yung sa Filipino and English. Pero yun nga, how is this new law going to impact students?
Let's ask Teachers Dignity Coalition National Chairperson Benjo Basas. Good morning, Benjo. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, Sir Angelo and Ma'am Angela. Magandang umaga po sa inyo.
All right, Benjo, let's start off. No, what do you think about yung pros and cons natin dito sa nangyaring bagong batas?
Sa tingin namin, itong mother tongue based multilingual education ay talaga namang hindi rin ito simpleng trend, no? Ito talaga ay necessity, no? At ito naman talaga ay batay, no, dun sa pag-aaral ng mga eksperto hindi lamang sa Pilipinas, maging sa buong mundo, no? And that's the reason, no, bakit po tayo sa Pilipinas, no, ay isinama itong MTBMLE sa ating K-12 program, dun sa RA 10533, no? Pero ang challenge po talaga ay paano ito patutupad, no? So para bigyan natin ng kaunting background, no, ang pinakamasakit, no, na nangyari po dito, and even, no, our teachers, no, ay hindi ma-appreciate, no, itong MTBMLE, no. So yan yung pinakamalaking naging for us, no, yan yung pinakamalaki, no, na naging tungtungan, no, ng Kongreso, no, at yan ay naririnig namin, no, nung binabasa, nung pinag-uusapan itong amendment na ito, no, supposedly diyan in both houses of Congress, no. Pero pag tinignan din natin, hindi naman din tumututol yung mga kongresista natin at mga senador, yung mga mambabatas natin dito sa prinsipyo ng MTBMLE. No, ang talagang issue lang talaga ay hindi ito na ipatutupad. Kung ito na patutupad, no, abay may problema sa pagpapatupad. At sino yung dapat, no? Yung oversight function dapat ng Kongreso, ginamit niya. Hindi na naman kailangan i-amend batas at alisin ito. Ang mas kailangan talaga ay tugunan, no, yung mga problema. Well, na-identify naman yung mga problema. Walang libro, walang orthography, no, walang mga dictionary. Hindi na train yung mga teacher, no. At doon sa mga areas na meron tayong pwede nating sabihin multilingual na mga communities, no, ay nalilito yung mga bata kung saan siyang section. Kung saan klase siya ilalagay, hindi kasi natin inimbentaryo. Sino dito ang Ilocano? Halimbawa, kung yan ay nasa, let's say, Apalit, Pampanga, no? O Kalumpit, Bulacan, no? Sino dito ang household language ay Kapampangan? Sino ang Tagalog? Ihiwalay natin sila, ibigay natin yung language, no? Sa fit, no? Para doon sa kanila, no? Doon sa kanilang lingwa. Hindi po ito nagawa, no? Well, admittedly, even the Department of Education, no? While they defended, no? Maganda naman yung position ng DepEd dito. Nagkasundo po kami sa position ng DepEd, no? During those hearings, no? Ang problema, hindi naman talaga ito nagawa, no? Itong mga obligasyon po, no, ng gobyerno natin, in particular ng Department of Education. Pero yun nga, no, lastly, so nang sabihin, no, kung hindi natin nagawa na ipatupad ng isang batas, ay ang isang magandang batas, no, sapat ba na dahilan nito na para ito ay tanggalin? So, kaya hindi. Dapat ayusin natin. Yun po yung aming take sa issue.
So, ano po ba yung ano po ninyo, no? Kasi yun nga po, batas na po ito. Ano pong measure, no? Anong klaseng pagsasaayos po yung dapat nating gawin to be able to deal with this already?
Well, yun nga po, no, yun yung malungkot kasi amended na nga, no, at ibig sabihin hindi na magpapatuloy, no, yung MTBMLE, no, na isang provision ng 10533, no. So, pero ngayon hindi naman, no. Siguro ang pwede nating ang tingin namin na pwede namin i-appreciate dito po, no, ay hindi naman talagang tuluyang tinanggal, no. Ang sinasabi naman dito ay pwede pa rin magpatupad yung Department of Education, no, ng MTBMLE doon sa mga areas o doon sa mga komunidad na talagang monolingual, no, na yun lamang talaga ang wika na ginagamit nila, pero meron pa rin mga criteria na sinet yung batas na mahigpit na mga criteria, no. Yun, gaya nga ng official na orthography, no, kasi dapat naman lahat ng wika natin ginawan sana natin ng ganito ever since, di ba? Kasi pag walang orthografiya, medyo namamatay talaga yung wika kasi kakainin ito ng mas dominanting wika doon sa isang lugar. At based po, no, na around 150, no, distinct languages meron tayo sa Pilipinas, isa sa pinakamataas sa buong mundo ito, no. At yan ay kayamanan natin, no, bilang isang bansa, bilang isang nasyon. Ito po yung isang kayamanan at hindi po lahat ng bansa ay pinagkalooban ng mga ganito, no. At hindi naman natin masabi na problema ito, no. In fact, natututo naman no, yung mga Bisaya natututo naman po ng magtagalog, no. Yung mga Ilocano natututo magtagalog, di ba? Ang sinasabi lang po natin dapat hindi aalisin sa kanyang sarili yung identity, no. And of course, no, ito lang, no, yung pagkilala lang ng amendment na ito sa batas, no, yung pagkilala na there could, no, exist, no, MTBMLE in monolingual classes or monolingual perhaps no, communities ay dapat pong ma-enhance, no, at ma-strengthen ng Department of Education at ng KWS.
Sinabi nga po kasi ni base nga daw po dun sa SONA 2022 ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, sinasabi nga po niya na mas maiging ma-improve, no, mag-favor tayo dun sa proficiency natin sa English to, yung para mas ma-okay tayo in overseas employment. Your thoughts on that po?
Well, matagal na pong na-debunk yung idea po niyan, no? At hindi po yan totoo, no, ever since. Kasi, at saka, saan tayo papunta kung ganyan po yung idea natin, no? Kung gusto natin ay papunta doon sa abroad, no? Kasi yung laging pinagmamalaki ng ating gobyerno na nakakalungkot, no? Dapat mag-aral tayo ng English kasi para meron tayong edge, no, against our neighbors in Asia, no? Sa totoong buhay, marami rin naman ng mga Bangladeshi, no? Marami rin Pakistani, maraming Thai, maraming Indones, no? Na nagtatrabaho sa Middle East. Diba? Hindi naman nila isinuko, no, ang kanilang mga lengguwahe, no, yung mga binanggit kong bansa niya. Primarily, ang ginagamit pa rin nila kung ano yung wika nila, no? And if we look at the phenomenon of migrant workers, diba? Hindi naman naging migrant workers ang mga Koreano, ang mga Japanese, no, ang mga Singaporean, diba? In fact, sa kanila pumupunta yung mga migrant workers para magtrabaho, no? At hindi sila nag-aaral ng English, no, in the same length, no, in the same na level, no, na meron tayo. Diba? So hindi talaga yung totoo, no? Hindi po talaga yung totoo. Kailangan nating pagyamanin natin yung ating even our constitution, no? Sinasabi yan, no, na yung ating mga yung ating pambansang wika ay Filipino. Of course, that's debatable pa rin naman hanggang ngayon. Ano po, ano? Pero sinasabi rin ng ating saligang batas na kailangan pagyamanin pa rin ng mga wikang vernacular. No, yung mga regional languages, no, ang term na ginamit na doon. No? At ang official language natin, no, isa sa mga official languages natin ay English. No? So, yung PISA results, di ba? Mas matataas, no, sa atin yung mga non-English speakers, no. Yung mga hindi officially English ang ginagamit na wika, hindi nagpapakamatay para mag-English na mga lipunan. Especially Vietnam, sobrang taas sa atin, ano, compared sa atin. So yun po yung aming pagtingin po doon.
Sir Benjo, meron po ba tayong datos doon po sa simula pong ginamit natin itong K-12 natin doon sa mga areas na naging okay po yung proficiency ng mga bata nung ginamit po nila yung mother tongue?
Meron po tayo, no, pero prior pa nga dyan, no. Prior dyan, meron po tayong mga pag-aaral, no. Pero lumabas po kasi, ito yung malungkot, no, lumalabas doon sa pag-aaral din na nilabas, no, na prior, no, to hearings, no, in Congress, hindi talaga naging effective. Hindi talaga naging effective itong program. Hindi ko sinasabing hindi naging effective in the sense na hindi niya natugunan yung intent niya, no? Kundi hindi naging effective kasi hindi na ipatupad. Like for example, yung mga teacher ay hindi talaga confident, hindi na-appreciate ng mga teacher, no? Yung mga magulang ay mas gusto, no? Mas marami, by the way, no, ay ng mga magulang, no? Kahit sa pag-aaral, no, kahit sa survey na ginawa ni Senator Gatchalian, the Chair of Basic Education Committee in the Senate, no, lumalabas mas marami pa rin mga magulang, no, kahit sa mga non-Tagalog, no, speaking provinces ay mas gusto yung Filipino ituro, no, and followed by English, no, at pangatlo na lamang yung kanilang vernacular, no. So may mga ganun po.
Lastly po, before we let you go, Sir Benjo, we're months into DepEd Secretary Sonny Angara's leadership. Paano niyo po ito ma-evaluate?
Well, siguro too early, no? Pero pwede nating tignan, ano, yung trend, no, at yung pinupuntahan, ano. Kami, simple lang naman kami mag-evaluate, no. Una, nakikipag-usap ba yung secretary? Sagot namin dyan, yes. No? Marunong siya makipag-usap, marunong siya makinig. No? And there are several policies, no, na naging controversial. Pwede namin sabing naging controversial and we raised issues, no, on these several policies, no, na eventually ay binago niya. No? Ibig sabihin po, itong ating secretary ay marunong makinig. No? At hindi lang nakikinig na nag-observe, kinakausap niya yung mga stakeholders. No? For us, yun ay isa ng maganda pong panimula. No? Sana magtuloy-tuloy.
Alright, on that note, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. That was Teachers Dignity Coalition National Chairperson Benjo Basas.
Thank you po. Thank you.
Yun, kasi
Marunong na daw makinig.
Marunong makinig.
Bakit? Yung dati ba hindi nakikinig?
Ay, hindi ko alam. Hindi ko na tinanong yun. Ayaw na mag-start pa. Pero yun nga, yun yung usapin tungkol nga dyan sa mother tongue eh. Diba? Tapos sinasabi nila, maganda sana yung layunin pero hindi nga na-implement ng maayos. Pero like yung mga learning materials, wala naman daw masyado na produce. Diba? Tapos yung potential na
mawala yung kultura.
Oo. Hindi, tsaka yung potential na kasi may mga multilingual regions na hindi naman lahat iisa lang yung kanilang dialect, diba? So, may ma-exclude kumbaga.
One thing short lang, bago tayo umalis na, yung sinabi mo about yung kay PBBM na yung English, na hindi daw totoo, sabi ni Sir Benjo. I'd like to, lang kasi, we have to always remember also na like Japan, Japan, they're not speaking English but they're successful. China also. But you have to remember, wala tayong industry of electronics like Japan. We don't make cars like Japan. Wala tayong industrial sa clothing, manufacturing like China. Ang pinaka-basis ng economy ng Pilipinas is people. So people meaning we have BPOs here because yung resources natin, magaling tayo mag-English, we have a neutral accent. And we cannot say long-term, dapat we should stimulate. We will have to remember, since we're still in third world status, we still have to maintain that neutrality in English.
Pero ang ano lang naman nila dito, ang goal nila ay yung foundation ng mga bata na para mas maintindihan nila. Kasi kinder to grade 3, parang hindi pa nila maintindihan kung iba yung language na ituturo mo sa kanila. Yun yung sinasabi. Then they can transition to Filipino and English later on. Pero yun nga, wala tayong magagawa eh. 15 days after the publication, ano na siya?
Lapsed into law.
Ano na siya? Hindi, ano na siya, law na siya.
Kaya nga, lapsed into law sa term.
Okay, alright, sige, coming up. The ongoing conflict in Lebanon is getting more intense. But do Filipinos in the Middle Eastern country want to fly back to the country?
And what was the Philippine National Police's reaction to ex-police officer Royina Garma's revelation about the so-called Davao model? Yan.
We are just getting started, Konti pa lang na mga napag-usapan
Si
natin.
Madam Garma.
Oo, more of our top 10 news and brunch returns. Keep it here on One News. Good morning, you're still watching brunch here on One News. Meron kang babatiin habang kumukuha ako
okay.
dito.
Ito from Mig Zebron, Hello Brunchies. Ito si Ralph Domingo, ang hula niya na number 1 dapat sa countdown. Ang Kerwin Espinosa expose nung Friday daw. Okay. Si Sam
tingnan
Pokemon
natin.
Go naman, good morning daw, watching while cooking tapa.
Wow,
May
sarap
quad
naman.
kong hearing ba daw ngayon dahil gusto daw niya matuto paano maggisa. Tapos,
a good one.
Cecil Samaniego, good morning. Tito Diego, Tito talaga. Ito naman kay Peter Makawili. Mga sir, okay naman po matuto ng English, math, mga mag-aral Pilipino. Pero paano naman daw yung mga taong walang kakayahan na matuto magsalitang English? Pero sa ibang bansa daw, maunlad sila tulad ng China, etc. etc.
Yan. Dito naman sa YouTube si Geraldine Balolong, si Elmo Cardenas, si Gary Co, si Mark Santiago, si Renato Nieto, si Ren V. Ayan. Sabi niya, thank you Sir Jeco for pointing out that the non-English language is not the sole reason for Japan's development. Ayan. We have lost our on industries and rely heavily on English speak. Totoo yan. Si Tita Daisy, Tito Naldi, Tito
nga.
Nito,
Si Vlad,
yan, mga
si
nanonood.
VJ.
VJ,
Oo.
si Tasha, yan,
Oo.
mga nanonood yan sa atin. Okay? Sino to? Kung related daw ba kay Karen Astrup of Itbulaga? Kawi ko daw. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Mamaya babati pa tayo. Si Mix Ebron, nabati mo na
Oo,
Alex
nabati ko na si
Fuentes, si
Mix.
Ralph
Yes,
Domingo.
oo.
Yan ang ating mga suki. Si Gary Field at saka si Sam Pokemon Go.
Okay.
Alright, sige, let's continue with our countdown. Heating up in the 7th spot is Taal Volcano. The volcano has experienced a 10-hour and 30-minute volcanic earthquake. The tremor occurred from October 12 to 13. PHIVOX said this event is unusual as previous tremors only lasted a few minutes. As of October 12, the agency recorded a sulfur dioxide emission rate of 1,256 tons per day, with a plume reaching 900 meters. Since September 22 rather, Taal has seen over 40 eruptions. The volcano remains at alert level 1, which indicates low-level unrest.
Level 1 lang pero mahaba, 10 hours.
Yung tremor, ito yung longest daw so far.
10 hours? Mahaba-haba yun.
Kaya yung lagi naman natin pinapaalala yung mga residents doon, di ba?
Yeah.
Stay alert. Yung sa area na hindi na pwedeng pagtambayan, ay wag na po nating pilitin na pagtambayan. At manatili po kayo nakaantabay. Of course, sa LGU, sa PHIVOX, dun sa kanilang mga abiso.
Always listen to authorities. So, tsaka sana may mga pasaway na politiko hindi maghakot pabalik doon in time for elections.
Oo.
Kasi di ba
Yung sa danger zone nila na area.
Oo, dati kasi ang danger zone wala ng tao yan. Tapos nung nagkaroon daw ng election, may nagsabi na isang captain, libreng palupa daw. Yung pala sa danger zone sila binigyan ng lupa.
Ay, nako,
Buti na lang yung LGU ngayon, medyong tinanggal sila na, tas kinordon off na talaga. Tsaka dead land na kasi daw yan pati yung water dahil sa sulfur dioxide na dead land na yan. Hindi nagka-thrive ang mga animals.
Right? Okay, let's continue with our countdown.
Now coming in at top 6 is about Hurricane Milton. The death toll from Hurricane Milton in the United States has risen to at least 17. More than 2 million households and businesses across the state of Florida remains without power. About 1/3 of gas stations did not have fuel, including nearly 88% of those around Tampa. Analysts have estimated insured losses of between $30 billion and $60 billion due to the hurricane.
Nakikita ko din dun sa Facebook yung mga kakilala, mga friends sa Facebook na nagma-mark safe dito sa hurricane na Milton na to. Si President Joe Biden, he has already approved yung major disaster declaration for Florida para mas mabilis yung funding pagbigay dun sa mga affected residents, affected families dyan sa hurricane.
Alam mo ka sa States, pag tumama isang hurricane dyan, malakas-lakas yan.
Yes.
Pero climate change kasi there was a video na na-point out din ni Mio sa atin, sa akin yesterday, na he was asking me where the Sahara Desert was. And I said why, but there was a camera daw from satellite that captured a slight flooding sa Sahara Desert.
Can you imagine?
In the Sahara Desert, nagpa-flood, that is a sign of extreme weather patterns that are changing already. Sa Sahara Desert, di ba? May baha.
Kaya di ba sa US din yung bahay nila doon laging may ang tawag doon? Basement.
Yeah, that's for the
For ano naman yun sa
Ipo-ipo.
ipo-ipo
Whirlwind.
yung mga twister, di ba?
Twister or whirlwind. Ayan.
So ayan, more than 1.1 million yung walang power at least 17 fatalities.
Malaki yan, 60 billion.
17 fatalities.
$60 billion ng estimate na damages due to the hurricane.
Alright, let's continue with our countdown. At our fifth spot is the water interruption schedule from Maynilad for this week. Several barangays in Caloocan will experience water interruption within October 14 to 18. This will be implemented from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. in some areas, while others have interruptions from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. In Manila, over 10 areas will experience the same from October 16 to 17. In Navota City, interruptions will be implemented in 6 barangays. And in Quezon City, the same will be implemented from October 14 to 18 at varying times. Maynilad said these interruptions are due to maintenance activities. Maynilad and One News under Signal are part of MVP Group of Companies. Balikan po nila dun sa page natin yung mga areas na magiging kasama dito sa mga maintenance
Saka
activities.
panawagan lang yung mga mag-iigib ng tubig, huwag yung mag-panic igib na sosobra sa kaya pangangailangan nyo. Kasi nangyari sa past before, pag may service interruption, mag-iigib more than what they need. It ends up, pagbalik ng water, nasasayang lang yung sa timba, itatapon sa garden, kung saan-saan pa. Just mag-igib na lang ng kung ano yung kailangan. Yun lang, panawagan lang naman.
Alright, let's continue with our countdown.
Next in our countdown is about the ongoing conflict in Lebanon. More Filipinos are returning home amid rising tensions in the Middle Eastern country. Here's the report.
On October 12 and 13, 16 OFWs from Lebanon landed in Manila. Their excitement to reunite with their families was palpable. They shared how terrifying the explosions in Lebanon were, echoing even in the middle of the night.
Hindi na po ako nakakatulog na po sa gabi kasi po may naririnig po akong mga sa pagsabog po, kaya po nagdesisyon na rin po akong umuwi.
Grabe po, natotrauma po kami. At papunta ko sa airport, may sumabog.
The Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA said OFWs in Lebanon can be repatriated every week. That is, if the airport operations in Beirut are not delayed because of the explosions.
Ang nakaslate natin, ang book natin ay 213. Kasama yung 8 na umuwi kahapon, total lang napauwi na natin ay 472. Yung 213 na nabanggit ko ay uuwi ito hanggang sa October 29.
They are also processing the tickets for 150 more individuals, while 178 others are waiting exit documents from Lebanese immigration as they don't have passports. Some of those waiting for their tickets are staying at the government evacuation center. In a video shared by OWA Administrator Arnel Ignacio, our fellow Filipinos can be seen eating together. When they return home, they will receive up to 170 pesos in financial assistance. According to records from the Philippine Embassy in Beirut, there are over 11,000 Filipinos in Lebanon, but less than 10% have shown interest in returning to the country.
150. Okay, so yun nga, si President Bongbong Marcos have yet, di ba, to announce yung mandatory evacuation. So yun nangyayari dito kasi voluntary pa rin. And he said he is leaving it up to the Filipino or PH officials doon sa Middle East to
Yeah,
make that call.
to make that call,
Pero
ah.
yun nga sinasabi nung iba na panawagan, wag na daw mag-antay pa na mas lumala yung sitwasyon doon. Mas maigi na ngayon, mandatory evacuations na ang mangyari dapat. Pero yung ibang mga kababayan natin doon, syempre, ayaw nilang umalis dahil wala silang magiging trabaho dito sa Pilipinas. Yung ayuda na ibibigay sa kanila, good for 4 months supposedly para makapaghanap sila ulit ng trabaho dito, etc. ay sinasabi nila hindi naman daw yun sapat at saka walang kasiguraduhan na kung makakahanap talaga sila ng trabaho.
Oh, yeah,
So,
but these are,
but-
well, we understand that naman that they want to earn money, but yung right na yung buhay mo,
Yes.
mas valuable ka buhay sa mga loved ones mo.
Yes. So
kaysa,
marami din
ano,
naman mga Pilipino natin, that's why asking na mandatory evacuation yun na.
Oo.
Huwag nyo na antayin na lumala na tsaka lang kayo magpa-uwi
Naalala
ng
mo
mga
nung
Pilipino.
wala pang conflict ang Israel and Lebanon, yung sa Palestine pa lang, sinasabi na natin na dapat wag hintayin na magkaroon ng conflict sa ibang area. Mandatorily remove Filipinos already because not only sila lang ang in danger, pati yung mga contingent natin
Yes,
that
yung mga officials doon.
who are trying to rescue
Yes.
them, you're putting them in danger
Oo,
also.
tsaka kasi kapag halimbawa lumala yung sitwasyon, 'di ba? May mga certain exit points ang sinasara na eh.
Sinasara.
'Di ba? So paano na, yun nga katulad no, hindi lang naman yung mga OFWs, yung mga contingents din natin na nakakasama.
And you have to
doon.
remember, yung brewing tensions with Iran and Israel. Pag yan nag-all-out war din sila, another exit point is shut down, di ba? Oo,
So yun nga yung sinasabi nila. Pero kasi yung iba, 'di ba, nabanggit ko sa iyo last week ba 'yun, nagkukwentuhan din tayo tungkol dito na may mga instances na yung ibang mga foreign domestic workers, hindi lang yung mga hindi lang Filipino yung na nilalak sila ng mga amo nila sa kanilang bahay para
Kundi sila
yung
ang
amo
nilak.
aalis, sila magbabantay sa bahay.
Kundi sila ilak, pati yung mga documents sila ilalak daw.
Oo, kasi kafala system
Kafala
nga.
system.
Tapos yung iba, kung hindi naman sila ilak, ina-abandon sila sa mga
Yeah,
kalye
sa
doon.
kalye.
Diba? Which is very dangerous din naman sa kanila. So, yun nga. So, maganda na nakakapagpauwi na. Ilan na napauwi nila? Almost
400 plus?
Oo, yung mga napauwi na. And then marami pa rin
200 remaining.
nag-aabang ngayon.
By October 29 daw, yung 200 plus remaining, hopefully
yung iba
tapos
mga
na daw.
nasa temporary shelters
Like we showed in the video kanina. And also they're processing na kasi daw the tickets. Medyong very limited kasi daw ang number of airlines that are departing from these areas.
Ang nahihirapan lang din, of course, yung mga officials natin doon sa mga undocumented. So, ngayon, ang panawagan din nila, of course, kahit na alam nyo pong undocumented kayo, kung alam nyo pong nasa delikado na yung buhay, yung sitwasyon
Punta
nyo,
daw kayo sa
punta
government
lang kayo
shelter.
sa, dun sa embassy, tutulungan
They will
naman
process
kayo.
you. And then while you're in process daw, may shelter naman
Yes.
where you can stay na medyong safe distance daw from the actual
Yung ibang mga kamag-anak na nandito sa Pilipinas na may mga kamag-anak doon sa Lebanon, ang fear nila mawalan ng signal dahil so far nakakapag-update pa sa kanila. Pag nawalan ng signal doon, hindi na sila makakontakt, talagang lalo na sila matataranta.
Oo.
'Di ba? Hindi na nila alam kung ano yung nangyayari doon. So as much as possible, go to the embassy, seek for assistance.
At least the embassy kasi daw, I think they have a direct link to I think Egypt and then from Egypt to the Philippines. So kahit anong mangyari, may mga redundant systems daw to get in touch with the country. So at least in touch dapat sila nga with the
Exactly.
yung authorities
Huwag
natin.
na natin antayin na magsara pa ibang mga
Tsaka
exit
na natin,
points dyan. Mahirap
we
yan.
understand
promise.
yung hirap ng buhay, but tsaka na natin isipin kung paano. Basta ang important for now, safe ang buhay nyo, then tsaka na natin pag-usapan paano ayusin yung finances natin.
Kaya nga sinasabi nung iba, dapat mag-mandatory evacuation na sila doon.
At makinig sila sa authorities. Okay.
Alright, sige, let's continue with our countdown.
Bilang Pilipino, bilang Pilipino.
Settling at the third spot is COMELEC. The poll body extended the deadline for petitions to declare a political aspirant as a nuisance candidate. The filing of petitions against nuisance candidates is now from October 14 to 16. This is due to the work suspension in Manila and Pasay City on October 14 and 15 to make way for the Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on disaster risk reduction. An aspirant can be declared nuisance if they put the election process in mockery, cause confusion among voters by similarity of names, or have no bona fide intention to run for the office. COMELEC Chair George Garcia earlier said that only 66 of the 183 senatorial aspirants are likely to be included in the official list of candidates. And I think they're going to base it also dun sa naging interview session ng mga aspirants dun sa pag-file ng kanilang COC. Especially sa party list at saka sa senatorial senatorial.
Pero yung tanong ko lang, yung isang point doon to declare a nuisance nakasabi is that to make a mockery of the election, di ba? So how do we determine, let's take case in point, yung isang lalaki na may box daw siya na ginawa, na pag pinindot mo daw mawawala corruption. Well, we all know that's impossible. Pero what if, kasi hindi clear-cut yung nakasulat eh, what if ang belief niya is totoo, na makakagawa siya ng box, and wala siyang intent to make a mockery of the system, but that is his truthful belief na he can make that box. So how do we determine then mockery? Is it defined ba na ang mockery is interpretation natin, or yung...
Yes, that's why there are officials there to determine.
That's what I'm saying. Pero we with no intent to run or with intent to make a mockery. But what if hindi niya intent?
Ikaw naman push button to make corruption to go away. Nandun ako nung sinabi yun eh. Siyempre alam mo na.
I know naman it's not true. What I'm saying kasi, ang word is intent to make a mockery of the system. What if the person's intent was not to make a mockery and yun ang paniniwala niya? That's his state of mind. Ganon ang thinking niya.
It will still cause chaos.
Oh yun, that's what I'm asking lang. Yung wording lang kasi. Kasi the word intent it means may intention yung candidate na mangloko at mangasar sa sistema. Eh what if may sarili akong mundo at sa paniniwala ko yung box na gagawin ko?
Kaya nga sabi ko, ikaw naman, alam mo naman ang isang
I'm
tao
just playing devil's advocate naman kasi sa word eh. Di ba, kung maglalabang ka sa interpretation ng words, you have to be defined.
Ikaw na lang umupo doon, sabi mo sa kanila.
Huwag naman kay Chairman Joe. Ayoko ng sakit ng ulo.
Pero yun, antayin natin, by October 14 to 16,
So
hopefully.
66 out of 183 ang matitira sa senatorial, no?
Yes. So hopefully by December, as we always mentioning here sa show natin, by December makapag-print na sila ng official list ng candidates sa balota.
I want to see kung ano yung magiging status ng mga influencers at vloggers, kung ano yung ang interpretation ng COMELEC dito. Na may intent sila to run, intent to serve, pero wala ka naman political backing o wala kang finances to run.
Malinaw na naman na yun, sinabi na rin ng COMELEC yun eh, di ba? Hindi naman porket mahirap ka, wala kang party, political party, nuisance ka na.
Yeah.
No, nasa batas naman natin yun eh, yun ang may sinasabi nila doon. Ang importante, alam natin, di ba, kung sino talaga yung mga magiging official list. And from then on, next year, yung di ba, yung by Feb 11, official candidates
yung
sila.
jowa kaya
campaign
niya,
na sila.
Yung jowa daw ni Chris.
Official campaign.
Yung jowa ni Chris Aquino na break na daw sila.
Alam mo naman yun,
si Senator
diba?
Amy,
Diyos ko,
si Senator
hindi na
Amy,
kailangan ng...
si Senator Amy na daw ang jowa niya ngayon.
Ay, Diyos ko. Alam naman natin kung mockery yan o hindi. Diba? Yun ang importante. Ano pa ba? May naman sabi ka pa
Paano
ba?
kung yun ang paniniwala niya?
Ito din kaya, i-declare ko nuisance ako. Joke lang.
Uy, wow. Wow.
Joke lang.
Nuisance angkor.
Isasabi pa ako, nakalimutan ko, kasalanan mo yan. But don't go away because we're not done yet.
Akin yan.
Ay, sa'yo pala yun. Go na, go.
May dalawa pa tayo. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Brunch here on the One News.
Diba sinasabi ko kanina, meron akong nakalimutan sasabihin tungkol sa COMELEC na tungkol dun sa pagdeklara ng nuisance. Kasi naalala ko yung kaso ni, what's his name? Si Marquez.
Senator ba to? Or
Oo.
Senator?
Norman Marquez. Ano siya parang, siyempre, hindi naman talaga siya kilala. Tapos siya, pet animal welfare advocate siya. Pero dineclare siya ng COMELEC noong 2021 as no nuisance candidate. Pero yung Supreme Court ruled in favor of him.
Oh, kasi
And sinabi nga na hindi siya nuisance because dahil hindi siya kilala, wala siyang party, etc. Yun yung
Oo naman, because he has an advocacy naman and may puwang naman sa society ang rights ng animals
Yeah.
'Di ba? So, 'yun.
Yun yung pinag...
Di ba siya
pinag-usapan
nag-file
natin
this time around? Di natin alam, no?
Hindi ko sure.
Di natin nakita
I'm
yung
not sure,
listahan.
kung nag-file siya. But alright, sige, let's continue with our countdown.
Now, going straight to our top 2, the seemingly never-ending Alice Guo saga. A witness in custody of PAOK linked the dismissed Bamban mayor to alleged Pogo kingpin Liu Dong. The witness framed Guo was alias Madam Hua, regularly reports to Liu about the construction progress of Zunyuan Technology Inc., which is a Pogo hub in Bamban. They accused Liu, also known as Boss Boga, of ordering to torture individuals through Chinese associates. Liu was recently arrested for allegedly running an extensive criminal enterprise involving multiple Pogo operations. Ito yung big boss, di ba?
Oo. Kaya nga, ang tanong dyan, di ba, kung maimbestigahan siya, meron ba siyang direct contact? At that time, kay Alice Guo, may direct interaction ba sila?
Yeah.
Does he know her personally? Yung mga ganon, di ba? Isa yan sa mga, one of the questions na kailangan itanong din at para malaman.
Alam mo, ang
natin yung
susi lang para
involvement nito.
mapagtagpi-tagpi ito is kung magsalita na to si si Alice Guo
Oo.
Kasi si Colonel Garma Ruina Garma nagsalita na on her part. 'Di ba? May witness na gusto nagbagong buhay. Ito sana magsalita na rin to para matapos na to.
So ito yung pinag-usapan din natin last week yung na apprehend, 'di ba, na
Yeah,
nahuli
sino yung isang name
ng
mo?
PAOK. Siya alias Boss. Ang dami
Wookie,
mga
Wookie,
Oo. Pero ito si Liu Dong alias
Si Big Boss to
Oo, supposedly.
Siya yung nasa floor sa video, yung nakita natin sa sahig ng raid, na-raid yung niya. Oo. So siya yung, supposedly, siya yung ulo ng operation sa Porac.
Dito sa Philippines.
Sa Philippines at least, no? But there is somebody supposedly above him pa. Where he
Boss
receives...
ng mga boss.
Boss ng mga boss. Ito yung mga local bosses po kasi may mga bosses daw to sa international level that they receive instructions here and then binabato nila from them towards Alice Guo.
Oo. Ang isa pang malaking operation daw dyan sa Milao
Oo.
At maraming mga Filipino
But if you-
ang naging empleyado, ang mga nagiging empleyado doon. Nasa scam sila to go there
If you remember before pumutok dito yung Pogo issue, may mga issue na mga Pinoy na nag-apply ng work sa Vietnam tsaka sa Laos na sinusundo sa airport.
Even in Malaysia.
Tapos didiretso daw sila sa isang compound na
Hindi na sila makaalis
Oo, pero may mga iba nakakatakas. Kaya 'di ba yung isa remember they blurred his face and his voice na feature sa news yan. Kunento niya lahat ng pinagagawa and how he escaped.
Oo.
Na every time hindi ka nagkukota, may torture na ginagawa sa'yo.
Yung scamming talaga. Scamming farm yung
Yes,
nangyayari.
sa Pinoy daw, ang ginagawa sila sa Pinoy, naka-assign daw karamihan ng Pinoy sa love scam.
Love scam.
Oo, sa love scam.
Nako, sige. Alright, let's continue with our countdown. Today's top story is the so-called Davao model. PNP Chief Romel Marbil calls his predecessor to clarify the roles in the bloody drug war under the Duterte administration. This comes after former PCSO chief and ex-police officer Ruina Garma revealed that Duterte orchestrated a cash for killing scheme called the Davao model. Here's the report.
Former PCSO General Manager Ruina Garma came out with bombshell allegations on Friday. She implicated former President Rodrigo Duterte in the drug war killings during his administration. According to Garma, Duterte ordered to implement a nationwide Davao-style war on drugs.
On May of 2016, I received a call from the then President Rodrigo Duterte at approximately 5 in the morning, instructing me to meet him at his residence in Doña Luisa, Davao City. I was already acquainted with then Mayor Duterte, having served as a station commander in one of the police stations in Davao during his tenure. During our meeting, he requested that I locate a PNP officer or operative who is a member of the Iglesia ni Cristo, indicating that he needed someone capable of implementing the war on drugs on a national scale, replicating the Davao model.
Garma also mentioned NAPOLCOM Commissioner Edilberto Leonardo as one of the members of a task force. They allegedly came up with rewards ranging from 20,000 to 1 million pesos, depending on the level of the person killed.
The Davao model involves 3 levels of payments of rewards. The first is the reward if the suspect is killed. Second is the funding of planned operations. Third is the refund of operational expenses.
Several allies of Duterte were quick to question Garma's testimony. Senator Bongo describes her statements as mere diversionary tactic amid the cases she's facing. Meanwhile, PNP Chief Romel Marbil called on former police heads to clarify their role in the anti-drug operations. Marbil said they will conduct a thorough investigation on the matter. Human rights lawyer Nery Colmenares called on President Marcos to submit Garma's testimony to the ICC. He said this would ensure the prosecution of Duterte and others who may have been involved in the killings. For News 5, Ria Fernandez, We Are One News.
Ngayon daw up for, sabi ng Quadcom, up for determination ng DOJ whether, if ever, no, na magkaroon ng case against former President Duterte and his allies, if Colonel Ruina Garma is qualified na maging witness under the Witness Protection Program. Oo.
Kasi bombshell, ika nga yung sabi nila,
It
yung
is.
revelation na ginawa niya during the Quadcom hearing last Friday.
Ang
She
aanuhin lang
was
daw-
even crying.
Oo.
Pero yun nga, syempre, yan testimony. Dapat it will be backed by sufficient
The
documents.
dates
as
tsaka
well.
mga names mentioned niya, they will subpoena that. Bakit yung dates? May mga certain phone calls na kiniklaim niya, na na-receive niya from President Duterte. So if they can establish a provider on those dates, these calls were made to certain numbers, that could back up her claim. And yung mga names na binanggit niya, mga players in this diagram, isusupina na rin daw ng Quadcom to determine kung mako-corroborate nila yung sinasabi ni Colonel Ruina Garma. Pero ang hindi daw clear-cut yet, medyo vague, ang pag-establish ni former President Duterte if he actually gave a command to kill. Basta so far ang liability na nakikita nila kay former President Duterte is stimulating a culture of impunity sa PNP.
Kasi daw yung Davao model na tumikit ni
Yun lang,
nationwide.
parang irresponsible leadership so far. Pero yung direct sa patayin mo yan, all they have are statements on TV.
Yun nga, statements. Kaya nga sinasabi rin ni Attorney Salpanelo, di ba? Hindi yan admissible sa court. Kung dadalhin yan sa korte, kasi nga sabi nga DOJ is actually checking kung may mga kaso silang pwedeng isampa base dito sa mga testimonies na to and other documents. Sinasabi ni Atty. Salpanelo, this will be inadmissible pagdating sa korte.
They just need a couple of more daw kasi medyo may slight similarities daw with Jovi Espinido. Si Chief Jovi Espinido and Corina Garma in the way they're talking about yung drug war. So parang same daw eh. If they have another corroborating statement plus mga documents that will
You have to support it with documents.
oo.
Kasi pag halimbawa, salita-salita lang, lang yan, hearsay
Or
lang yan.
if wala ka daw documents, overwhelming corroboration between witnesses. Parang nangyari supposedly kay former Senator Laila
Yun
de Lima.
ang nangyari kay Senator Laila de Lima.
Pero problema,
Puro hearsay, tapos nag-recut sila. Kaya importante talaga kapag may ganyan ka, meron kang supporting document.
I don't think
Mahirap
naman
kasi pag puro
I don't think
salita.
na people right now would like to ulitin yung ginawa kay Madam Laila de Lima na
Puro salita
rehash,
eh.
puro
Pero yun nga, yung sinasabi ni PNP Chief Romel Marbil na itong mga nagdaan, medyo madami-dami kasi yun di ba?
Yes,
na mga
oo.
nagdaan na mga PNP Chief
You have-
under the Duterte administration.
Sino ba? Albayalde, Eliazar.
I-clear nila yung role nila dito sa drug war na to supposedly. Yeah, you have Eliazar, you have Albayalde, you have Debold Sinas, you have yung
Bato de la Rosa.
Yeah, of course, yung namatay, si Cascolan.
Si Cascolan.
Kaso patay na siya. Tapos si Jonardo Carlos. Although si
I know
Jonardo,
that.
tail end na siya
Tail
ng
end na siya. Ang height kasi ng drug war yan si
Duterte.
Senator Bato tsaka sila
Si Debold.
Debold tsaka si Albayalde. Hindi,
Albayalde.
Pero kasi sa statement ni Colonel Garma, parang kay Eliazar, medyo wala nang masyadong instructions daw binigay si Chief Eliazar at the time about the drug war, 'di ba? Parang nag-status quo na lang. Pero yung architects ng drug war, yan ang tinitingnan nila. Bakit ganun ang ginawa? Parang pondo ng bayan, ginamit mo sa parang networking. The more you kill, higher points sa killing. Pag mas mataas ang pinatay mo.
20,000, yung pinakamababa. 1 million. Maximum of 1 million dun sa, yun nga, kung big fish ba yan, kilala ba yan. And then, yun nga, sino ba yung sinasabi? Yung Espinosa daw, if I'm not mistaken.
Si Corinne.
And daw, yung isa pa, yung
Daddy niya?
aide supposedly ni Batot, ni Senator Bongo. If I'm not mistaken. They call him Moking ba yun, if I'm not mistaken?
yung bagman.
Espino.
Yung bagman ba yun?
Sabi,
Transfer
parang,
ng money?
one of the people na nagde-decide kung ito sasama ba to sa sa listahan yung mga. Kasi they showed it during the Quadcom. 'Di ba ayan na naman sa mga matrix, no?
Yeah.
Yung mga pangalan. And yun nga parang they had a hand on this person had a hand on deciding kung sino yung
Tsaka bakit
tuluyan.
daw yung ipapavet ni PRRD daw yung listahan sa PDEA? 'Di ba? Pag i-vet daw ng list ng PDEA, may bagong pangalan na naman ilalagay daw.
So yun yung allegedly mga sinasabi nila. And of course, dinidiin din nila. Kalimutan ko na yung pangalan ng congressman kasi na sabi niya kaya daw niyang patunayan yung relationship, yung personal relationship nito ni Garma kay former President Rodrigo Duterte, which is parang yun nga daw may romantic relationship sila before. I don't know.
Beside the
Pero
point naman.
that's beside the point na rin yan, kasi ang importante dito, yung inaano nila tungkol sa drug war na ito.
Anyway, abangan nila yung Quadcom hearing. Madami pa yan. We expect more bombshells in the coming days pag pinitation na lahat at sinupin na lahat ng mga
Tapos yung Senate pa, yung sa Pogo. Alam ko matatapos na yun, malapit na, then they will craft laws na. Tapos, ang next is yung sa Kibuloy.
in aid of legislation.
Yes, ang next nun is sa Kibuloy.
Yun.
Diba? Alright,
Sige.
Reyes family nanonood sa atin all the time.
Oy, hello. And naghang tuloy ako.
Wala ka bang quote dyan?
Yung quote, bukas na lang ang quote ko.
Hindi na naman siya ready.
Ikaw na lang.
That wraps up today's episode of Brunch. Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro. He is Angelo Castro III. We are One News. All sides, all the time. Ang cringy nung ganun.